I'll play it through. So this should come through my headphones. Yep. Okay. And I gotta turn the volume way down so I can hear you.
Yep. With my random fact.
Yeah.
And what's going to be today?
We'll find out about now. On this episode of Punk's Talk Wrestling, we are celebrating the month of Payback with our rewatch review of Payback 2016. I am your cruiserweight of rock, hailing from Philly and weighing myself in at 165 pounds, R.W. Hellborn, and by my side from 3,500 miles away in London, England, weighing an alleged and precisely 35 stone, is the proper punk, C.J. Newman.
What's up? Did you know that Andre the Giant was really tall?
Andre,
yeah.
Andre.
What you mean, Andre?
I mean Andre. That's exactly what I mean.
Andre.
He was tall. He was very tall. He was
very tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you say it?
Andre. Yeah. Yeah. Keep going. Just keep going even more west.
Like
entree.
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 Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
There should be.
It's
There
way
definitely
funnier than
should be.
Yeah.
There should.
Yeah, but he was really tall.
He was extreme. Yeah, he was pretty tall. He was
pretty
tall. Yeah, one of the tallest.
Yeah, but not the tallest.
Not the tallest.
I did find.
I believe Giant Gonzalez was.
He was taller, but there was another guy who was taller. I actually found out this fact the other day, but he wasn't a famous wrestler. He was a wrestler though, but I don't know his name.
Oh, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter.
Man, we should get into it. We should start this podcast, right?
Yeah, we should.
That lasted the entire 2-minute intro too.
Oh, really? Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Maybe. I don't know if perfect is what the word for it.
Well, I think that was one of the better intros we've had, actually.
Yeah, that was good. All right, let's do it. Let's do this.
Here we go. So we are reviewing. What are we going to call these? Throwback? I don't know what to call these.
Yeah, I guess this is rewatch. Rewatching.
Yeah, it's a pay-per-view rewatch. What we're going to do is every month rewatch a pay-per-view of the same title from history. So we've gone back randomly and selected, well, actually via a dice roll, and selected Payback, because Payback is, we didn't select Payback. Payback is this month, but we've selected.
Yes, Payback. It is the month of Payback.
It is the month of Payback, and we have gone back and selected Payback 2016. Which was held from the Allstate Arena in, well, is it in Rosemont or is it in Chicago? You be the judge.
Chicago, Wikipedia says Rosemont, but that's, it's.
Yeah, I mean.
It's one of those, it's the, nobody said, people that play in Camden don't call it Camden, they call that Philly, and that's a different state. It's right next to, it was Chicago. By the CM Punk chants that we hear later.
Yeah, later in the night. We're definitely in Chicago.
It's definitely Chicago.
Yeah. So I have got a whole bunch of facts about kind of things revolving around this pay-per-view before we go, and a lot of other things.
There's a lot happening. This was one of those, the random dice roll that we did to determine this. It
did, right?
Wound up giving us a plethora of little side quests to go down.
Yeah, for sure. So this is weirdly the third Payback to be held in the Allstate Arena. 2013 and 14 were both held at the Allstate Arena, which is kind of weird. I've never really known them to go back to a building for a pay-per-view like that. It's kind of strange.
Especially, but that must have been, I don't know why that time period, but they definitely wanted to be in Chicago every year.
Yeah. So I've got a few so I found the most gigantic article. You have no idea. This thing was huge, about all of the major historical events that happened wrestling-wise that happened in the Allstate Arena over the years.
Okay.
So I've got a little list for you. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, this is a great initial tangent right off the bat. I love it.
And there's some really big moments, actually. So it goes all the way back to the 80s, but not the 80s, I think early 90s, but nothing too crazy happened back then. But the first big significant thing was Chris Jericho made his debut in 1999 in the Allstate Arena.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's huge.
Well,
I remember why I saw that live on Raw. That was the countdown, the Millennium countdown was such a great idea for them to play off of, and then to just end it when they end it early, and the realization of like, no, it's not actually that, it's something else. The realization that it was a debut, and
so good. What a debut.
And we talk about this in the future about with the heel turns, as the one of the marks of a great heel turn is you don't see it coming, and that's the same thing as the mark of a great.
We will definitely do a debut, top 10 debuts.
Oh, top 10 debuts are probably going to be.
I think a good month to do that in would be the Royal Rumble month, because you get a lot of debuts at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so. you get returns.
Returns is another. There's loads.
Well, you know what, returns might be good for the Rumble, because you get a massive amount of returns at the Rumble. That's right. You have options for more returns. But
other things at the Allstate Arena. WrestleMania 2, 13, and 22 all happened at the Allstate Arena.
Well, WrestleMania 2 happened in
multiple locations, but was one of them, yeah. But 2, 13, and 22. Cactus Jack's return in the year 2000 against Triple H, like when he unveiled himself and he took off the mask.
Dude, I literally just watched that clip a few days ago. Yeah, because
a good moment.
when we were going through heel turn stuff, and I was just going down
Kinda
some other holes. Yeah, I was like, because that wasn't a heel turn. It just was one of those things.
It was like a gimmick turn. It was just
That's enough. That's going to be something we talk about.
Yeah, that is really understated moment. Actually, I think
that moment was such a good moment. Yeah. Anyway, that happened. Okay, that happened at the Allstate Arena.
Allstate Arena. We got more. We got The Rock and Hulk Hogan face to face and challenge each other for a match at WrestleMania 18. That was in the Allstate Arena.
That's huge. That's huge.
We've got John Cena making his debut at the Allstate Arena. So that's two massive debuts in the same arena.
Yeah, they've always. I mean, you can see how much WWE has always valued Chicago.
We've got CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011, where CM Punk left with the championship.
Yeah, was that the one where Cena did where John Cena did the pile driver, or no, where Punk did the pile driver on
Punk
Cena
did a pile driver on Raw, actually.
That was on Raw, and and they almost, and like I don't know if. I don't know. There were definitely rumors surrounding what happened, but from what I understand, there was none too pleased. Since pile drivers have been banned in WWE for quite a while.
Brock Lesnar.
But that was a huge pop. That's a huge thing. Yeah. That, another whole conversation.
Brock Lesnar's return match since leaving in 2004 against John Cena. That happened in the Allstate Arena. Main roster debut of Nakamura.
Oh, damn.
The first ever Ciampa versus Gargano match after, the heel turn and Ciampa returning from injury.
Oh, NXT. Yeah, NXT
Takeover Chicago. And screw that. The heel turn. Sorry, there's helicopters. This might have happened last night too, but you're just going to have to deal with it.
I can't. They're not coming through on mine.
Oh, good. So. Okay, that's good then. Which means the heel turn also happened in the Allstate Arena, because they both happened in the Allstate Arena, Chicago 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Damn. And probably most importantly of all, the second ever Punjabi prison between Batista and the Great Khali happened.
Oh my God! One of the greatest gimmicks, one of the best hot messes of WWE match gimmicks. I love the Punjabi prison. I loved everything about the ridiculousness. Yeah,
it's a match that was like always bad, yet they kept bringing it back as if it was gonna get good.
It was, I don't know. There's only been three of them? There's only been three, right?
There's been three, I think. Maybe three? Four. Maybe four.
There might have been four. There might have been another one that's not.
There was one during the Jinder run against Randy Orton.
Yeah,
which is the most recent.
I gotta go back and watch that.
Yeah.
Gotta go back and watch that again. Thank you so much for bringing up that joy, that reigniting that joy in my life.
So obviously, the attendance was 13,250 for this pay-per-view. Couple of things. This is the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania 32, which was held in Dallas, Texas. It's the it was the the tagline was the first pay-per-view of the new era.
So they definitely beat that tagline into you at every possible.
I've got
time.
well, you know what? I'll get into that now. Screw it.
But that's what they do. That's what WWE do, and we do.
Well, the thing is, I did notice because I was watching this pay-per-view, and I'll mention this now to save mentioning it later because it's on topic. I did notice that, like, if I'm watching an episode of Raw from like a few nights ago compared to this pay-per-view, I do notice that these kind of quips of like beating a certain phrase into you isn't as done as often as it used to be. Obviously, we used to have Vince McMahon on the headsets who are always trying to drum home a certain idea or a slogan or a phrase.
Well, I think they're doing because I never took notice of it much when it was happening live. You don't. That's the whole point. You don't really. The first time you're watching it live, you don't really notice it.
I didn't notice it at all. But now I'm going back and
part of the tagline. Yeah,
now I'm going back.
The tagline.
Yeah, now I'm going back and watching an old pay-per-view though from like 7 years ago. It made me realize how much.
They did it a lot more.
Yeah,
they did it a lot more then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just part of how they were doing things.
Exactly.
That was how they did it.
Yeah.
I think and again, as they've evolved, I think it's more nuanced. They have their gimmicks, they have their tags for their premium live events, and they just do it. They don't beat them into you that blatantly. I think it's a lot more. WWE gets more subtle over time with certain things,
for sure.
Not necessarily with their partnerships like the Snickers Battle Royal. I mean, that's just blatantly right there. But hey, man, that's why you get sponsorship money is for that purpose.
Exactly.
That's what Snickers paid for.
Yeah.
And Snickers paid for LA Knight's spotlight.
Slim Jim.
Oh, it was Slim Jim. Sorry,
Yeah.
I get so hung up on Snickers being the old sponsor that I just. Because those old pay-per-views, when you were going back, that's who it was. Snickers was like Snickers was one of the big sponsors back at this point.
So last few notes in this pay-per-view, there was a pre-show which we won't go into because I didn't watch it. Don't know about you.
It completely skipped my mind.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But we had Dolph Ziggler.
Peacock doesn't tell me that when I go back to the paybacks.
Pre-show was Dolph Ziggler against Baron Corbin, which Ziggler won. And then we had Kalisto versus Ryback for the US title, which Kalisto won that match, retaining the title. But one little last fact is that this was Ryback's last ever appearance in the WWE.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's a thing also.
I did see that. I saw that fact when I was looking at it because I was like, oh man, I loved Ryback and I miss him.
Yeah. So other than that, I think that's pretty much everything. And I think I determined also, which is kind of wild, considering this pay-per-view was only 7 years ago, is that the only people on this show that's still around now is Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, The Miz, Roman Reigns, and AJ Styles.
No, Charlotte Flair.
Oh, Charlotte Flair, you're right. And Natalya. Well, I totally skipped that one, didn't I? But those as well.
Yeah. Let's get into. I guess let's just roll right into the first match of the main.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's.
Yeah, go ahead.
When do we want to talk before we start the actual first match of the card? When do we want to discuss the confusing promo poster?
Oh.
Like at what point because
I think we go into it right now because I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, the promo poster was of the Wyatt family with like Bray with Bray above Harper, Rowan, and Braun in the masks. So the only thing I found out was that both Bray Wyatt and Harper got injured between Mania, because this was or after SummerSlam, right? This was No, this was in May. This was
in May 1st.
That's right. That's what was also confusing, was that May. This is now Payback, and they've moved Payback to post SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was post WrestleMania.
Yeah, but now Backlash has gone back to being the.
And then there's Backlash that was also post Mania, and it might have been post SummerSlam at one point. Yeah. So. Anyways.
Yeah, who knows?
Said, there's promotions with the Wyatt family all over it, and yet and there wasn't any Wyatt members
Not
in
a single
any matches.
member in any match.
So
no.
I think it was just due to Wyatt and Harper being injured.
I think it was just an untimed. Yeah, it was just bad timing, basically.
Yeah, and my guess is at that point there just wasn't enough time to change any all that.
Yeah.
Those posters were made before Mania was even done.
That's right.
From a perspective of print production and stuff like that, they just probably did not get to change it. But it was extremely confusing when we chose this pay-per-view at first, because we were expecting not remembering what was going on at the time. We were totally expecting a whole Wyatt family themed thing, and there was nothing.
No.
So anyway.
Exactly.
On to match one.
First match, and as soon as this match started, well, actually, screw that. We had the New Day come out before the video package at the start, which I thought was just really weird.
Cold opener of New Day.
It was just I don't know why they did it that way around.
Well, they did, because they did a new era, New Day, new era, heavy promo. As a cold opener, which it was. I think that was the whole point, was they didn't do those for these events. So it was just the first beating home of new era stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But as soon as this match kicked off, as soon as I realized what match it was, I immediately in my head went, I know what match this is, and it's the one where Enzo gets knocked out.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was when I rewatching this, I'd forgotten that it totally happened. And so it hurt watching it again.
Right.
And that was rough.
Yeah, that is rough.
I mean, that's the main thing about that match. I mean,
but the match didn't really get much time to go, really.
Yeah, it never got it. No, it was looking at the time, that was 3 minutes and 58 seconds into it. So like, that injury happened, there was still about 20 seconds, 30 seconds before they even called the match. So
right.
Yeah, that happened like 3 minutes into the match.
Yeah, it was.
It's unfortunate, because the vaudeville. I liked the vaudevillains. I me and gimmicks. I did like Enzo and Cass as a team at the time. They were they were chaos guys.
Oh man, Jesus Christ! Like,
that
when
was great.
I forgot how over those two were when they came out on that pay-per-view. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Now also looking back, a lot of Enzo's gimmick, Enzo's gimmick wouldn't fare well. It didn't age well. It was a little unnecessarily crass in my opinion for things.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but it was over the top, and
I really did like Enzo, because he got let go from the company. It depends how you look at it. There are accusations, and he got fired, and then it kind of came out. But then it kind of came out that the fact that the allegations were dropped, and it seems like the allegations were lies.
Yes, they were. Yeah, supposedly. Yeah. Now we're not obviously not going to deep dive into any of this stuff. But for anybody that needs to, you can look it up, and you can determine how you want to think about it.
Yeah.
That was, from what I understood, the whole reason for it was because it was a real disappointment because of how much Triple H put into Enzo and Cass, and knowing how they came up and knowing how good he was. Enzo was really good and understood the business, and I would have loved to have seen how he would have evolved.
That's the thing. I think it's a missed opportunity, man. Almost. I feel like he would have really flourished, and I feel like he would have been. I
hate to say it, like. Cass would have been. We talk about this next week in the future.
Yeah.
Cass definitely was going to be the Marty. and Enzo was the Shawn in this.
Big time.
There's plenty of history, and I like the dude. He was, from everything that I know about him, he was a good dude, good work.
From what I can tell, yeah. But I think he would have been, and even if his wrestling career didn't work out, he would have been an amazing manager.
He could have been, yeah. He definitely could have been more than what he was typecast as, and that you can go back and see the history of all that, but it could have been it would have been a real good showcase. It was. I'm making the assumption that Enzo and Cass were supposed to.
I'm going to say
match.
so, but you know what? For the nearly 4 minutes that there was a match, there was it was tight. You could tell these guys had worked a lot together in NXT anyway.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing, and.
They were tag team. They were tag teams that were tag teams. They both came up. We both watched them come up in NXT.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought it sucks how it ends. It's all night long. They kind of go through the they obviously kind of get given the guys updates on his condition. Obviously, you could slowly find out that he's going to be okay, which is good. But they keep referencing the fact that he hit his head off the rope, but that's not what did it. It's bouncing off the rope, but then hitting his head off the mat.
It was a combination.
Combination of both. Yeah,
it was both. Yeah, it was both for sure.
But you really see when he falls out the ring that his face is
it's gnarly.
Yeah, he's out. He is out, and you could really. You could really see the concern on the New Day's face, like when they realized, like, oh wait a second, like he's really badly hurt, like. It's brutal. You never like to see it. It's never fun to see.
No, you hate to see it. But anyway, there's a whole thing that you could go into with all of that. End of the day, vaudevillains get a technical win. Yeah. I don't even, I don't think they, to be honest, I don't think they did anything with that win. I don't think they got a tag team title match, but I'm pretty sure they did not beat the New Day. Yeah. I don't know that they ever got to hold the gold before they got let go. Yeah. But so that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. One thing I will say about the overall running theme of this pay-per-view and knowing who is in charge of writing at the time, you can't really say that Vince did not give the new generation a chance. I mean, majority of this pay-per-view is based on the fact that all of these guys are from NXT, and he was giving them all a shot to prove themselves. And so to say that anyone was buried or anything like that, I think is quite a silly sentiment, to be honest with you.
No, I know. Yeah, that's there's a lot of there's a big there's a lot of dispute about that kind of stuff. But this it was shown that the people that had what it takes to do it did it. Yeah. And not everybody did. Not everybody gets everybody gets past that one thing. And but this was it certainly was a good showing of a lot of new NXT talent. With that being said,
speaking of NXT talent,
this is one of the we discussed this like I've said before, we discussed this specific rivalry in the future. Yeah.
But I actually forgot about this. Well, I obviously know about this match because it's the first time they faced each other on the main roster.
But
I didn't realize it was on this pay-per-view. I tend to go into these pay-per-views without looking at the card. I like to not know. And so when this match popped up, I was like, damn. Amazing! Like I can't wait to watch this.
Is great. Yeah, I mean, I saw it when I looked at it when we first picked.
Right. Yeah, I think I did, but I just forgotten it, so it kind of helped.
Oh yeah. I don't really go into. I don't do any research. I didn't go back and look at anything else until I sat down to watch it. Yeah. So you kind of go in with a clear head again. Yeah. And holy shit, this is just as good as the run they had in NXT. This was
match, man.
Yeah, this was WWE doing what WWE does best. It's getting something good and then doing it again bigger. Mm-hmm. This was the first main roster rivalry story between KO and Sammy, and the revert and somewhat of a reverse of the NXT, because KO KO made it to the main roster before Sami Zayn did, whereas in NXT, Sami Zayn was in NXT a year before Kevin Owens.
That's right. Yeah.
So there was this little bit of a reverse, but it was still the same Kevin Owens. It was still Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens turned on Sami once again on the because once again it's angry Kevin Owens at his it's such a deep story, and like it's easily relatable to people who have had friends and colleagues that they've grown up together and worked together for so many years. Yeah. It's such a compelling story when you have that dynamic to work with.
I really like the fact that the video package before, it really explained their entire rivalry, like through NXT. So obviously they know like not everyone watches NXT, so we're going to explain to you their entire backstory here. So you're completely caught up with why this is an important match, So I thought that was good.
And to that, this is one of the things we talk about often is their production value and the intelligence and the nuance that they put behind this. This was also the height of the birth of the WWE Network.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So one of the things that they were also pushing is to all that old NXT footage is available on the WWE Network.
That's right, yeah.
All that stuff, and they, and they had a lot of time. And real quick, because I had this note in my notes. I just want to go on record and say I fuck Peacock and their and the sale of WWE. I want the old WWE Network back the way it was.
Well,
Peacock is still fucking garbage.
Let me tell you something. So
I would pay twice as much. I'd pay $25 a month to have the old WWE Network back just the way it was, than this $5 garbage that I get with Peacock and all the goddamn ads that they put in between shit.
Oh no,
dude! Every time I go back, every time I have to go back and rewind to another match, I've got to watch the fucking minute of ads.
Really? So here's the deal. I still have the WWE Network because I live in the UK.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna get a VPN and
I think you should. All right, so here's the deal.
I really want to go.
I'll give you. I'll let you
go for this route.
I'll let you know. They recently updated the interface for the network, so it's brand new now. It all looks great. I literally have in my notes. I have WWE Network ads. I miss the days of random network shows. Because even though
I have that too. I have that too.
So even though
that note in there too,
you don't, obviously it's all on Peacock now for you in the US, and we still have the network. They don't do many random shows anymore, like the prank shows or this, they remember those cartoons they used to do, the Edge and Christian show. And,
that was great. But they were filling up that was the thing. They were filling up they were trying to create a WWE channel as essentially it's a here's content 24/7 that you can watch, and it could only go so far, and I get it, but that stuff was great. I did enjoy a lot of those. I still and they've refined it over the years because they're still doing some of those things with they're focusing more on the hour and 2 hour documentary kind of stuff, and they're doing a great job of that.
Oh, the documentary stuff. A lot of those. See, this is where I miss out because they do the documentary stuff, but a lot of that's being released on A&E and stuff, and we don't have that over here. I have no way to watch those over here.
So I do have access to that.
Yeah,
I can't really complain.
There's things like the hidden treasures stuff. I really want to watch where they go out and find the old relics that people's collected and stuff, or the Cody Rhodes documentary that's just come out. I again can't watch that. I have no way of watching it. So
man, that's
that
does. Well, no, you're gonna have a lot to catch up on and watch.
Well, the thing I'm hoping is that once A&E kind of, I don't know, they finish up with these shows, that maybe the contract will obviously be handed over to WWE, and then they'll just put them on the network as an archive.
They might be able to do that too.
So I'd hope that happens eventually, but obviously,
anyway,
I love the WWE Network. It sucks that you don't have it, but I definitely think you should just get a VPN. And
I'm probably gonna go that route. I've got to. Anyway, back to this match.
Back to the match, yeah.
I mean, it's Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
It's everything you want, isn't it?
It's everything you always want.
These two guys.
They hit each other hard. They beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
In creative and always better and bigger ways.
Yeah.
It's it's always good. It's always gold.
Every time these two guys have a match, you always see them put out like
something different,
and even else. Count that. There's one thing I made note of, which is something Sammy does like a spinning DDT off like the second rope, and then Owens like reverses it into like the weirdest like backbreaker I've ever seen, and I'm like, how did you even think to put those two moves together?
Well, that was the other thing I noted. That was the other thing I noted on matches with them. They are because of their history and all this stuff. I've noticed a lot more reversals, like between when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn battle.
Yeah,
there's a lot more of reversals of each other's moves into another move.
Yeah,
so most of there's just because they're constantly countering. They just know each other so well that they're constantly countering something, and that leads to that leads to so much other inventory, ingenuity. Inventory of moves. Yeah. I've been playing a lot. I got back into Diablo, so
there we go.
So I've been really thinking about in my inventory a lot. It's so hard to get rid of all that good shit, even though it's all going to be useless in like 2 days. It's like this one's fucking cooler looking. Anyway, the other thing I had of note of this. You have something else. You might have something else before this, so because this is after the match.
Okay, anything for the match. The notes I have is that I'm ready for Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens again because it's been a long time, and this time with like Triple H at the helm of telling that story. With that, his kind of Triple H has a very nuanced way of storytelling. I've noticed he's got a very very long play form of storytelling. With that, with Owens and Zayn would be great. I want to see it.
Yeah, because they still have a lot to go with their tag title reign.
Oh, for sure, but I can see that ending in a new rivalry for them.
Of course, it'll end how it always ends with Kevin Owens turning on Sami Zayn. Who knows? We might get a fake it. We might get Sami Zayn turning onOwens.
I'd be into it because Sami's proven he can be a great heel. So. Yeah,
but this was I think this was just it was solidifying KO as a top heel again.
Yeah, big time.
They gave him just and they gave him a clean win.
Yeah,
which is something clean wins, just definitive wins is what KO and Sami Zayn always do. There's never really been any.
There's never been much of a screwy finish. Yeah,
there's no screwy finishes. There's no time for any of that.
Yeah,
there's no dusty finishes with them. It is a complete package. They always tie a nice bow on every one of those matches.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing that I loved so much, not just about the match, but the aftermath of the match.
Yeah.
Was I totally forgot about Kevin Owens' beef with Byron Saxton, and how good he was at being so angry back because he's getting back in. He's got that hothead temper. He's a face, he's a baby face hothead right now. But this was Kevin Owens like aneurysm, blood boiling, like veins pulsing out of his head, angry at shit. I loved his like whisper yelling in Byron Saxton's ear to tell him what to ask him.
What to ask
in the microphone. In the microphone.
So I mean this all bleeds into the next match. Obviously he joins commentary. Yeah. I've made a comment saying that Owens is just so good on the mic because he's amazing. But, he riffed off of that so well, and he gave himself more airtime. Like, I've got a few little things here that just made me, because he was making me so the next match, obviously it bleeds into The Miz versus
Cesaro,
sorry, yeah,
yes.
Jesus. The Miz versus Cesaro for the was it for the IC
title, yeah.
And
this was still the old, the white leather classic 80s belt that Cody Rhodes brought back.
Yeah. But before we get into that match,
I love that run with The Miz. that run with him in the new Hollywood when he brought Maurice back.
Maurice back, exactly.
Such a good pair, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Just amazing. You know, the Miz has always been amazing. That's why he's always on TV. That's why they always give him mic time.
Exactly. I don't think it's like he's so underrated, and he will always be underrated. I think that's the thing. It's just like he's never.
Yeah, I think being the most underrated, it's almost like
I mean, if he's
he's not really underrated, but that's the thing. He's not really underrated. He's so good in his position.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's been champion multiple times.
Yeah,
he's been every champion. He's been every champion multiple times.
He
is that good.
He did the whole run from bottom of the card to the top twice over.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely
insane. That's insane.
Dude, he laps people. And now it's just letting him be, he's allowed to do whatever he wants at this point.
Yeah.
I think he's in a great position to be putting over other people. He's been doing it since, even though he won, he beat Cesaro in this match. We'll just bump to the end of it because the way the match itself was an excellent match.
I thought it was a really there was a I think again, you undervalue how good Miz can be because he has wrestled. His schedule has lessened over the years, as it should. He's been going for quite a while now, but I hadn't really watched a long Miz match in a long time, and I really was like, I was watching it, really appreciating how good he can work in a ring. He really is damn good, especially against someone like Cesaro as well.
Yeah, Cesaro who can do things that other people can't do.
Yeah.
There's some people that are going to think that, oh no, that they were just burying Cesaro at this point, or like that he should have won. It's like Cesaro had good reigns and he could have had better reigns, better runs, but this was showcasing him. This was more. This story wasn't about Cesaro. This wasn't Cesaro's story. This was Kevin. This was a continuation of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's story, bleeding into the Intercontinental title match.
Basically,
like he said right out the bat. It's like it was like Kevin Owens said the Sami Zayn thing interrupted him getting his title back, and now it's this. It was still all about. This was all about. Both of these matches were all about Kevin Owens. Yeah. This was 25 minutes of Kevin Owens when you look at it.
There's a few lines that he said here which really got me. So there's one part where he said he would have explained why he was in the ring, but Byron interrupted him, which just didn't happen.
Which is just completely he's gaslighting Byron Saxton and rewriting history on the fly.
Just him telling Byron to shut up. I think at one point Byron asked him there was a move in the ring that happened. He said, "How do those feel, Kevin?" He said, "Like if I slapped you in the face."
Yes, yeah. Oh my God. And well, did you notice right in between matches? Did you notice him, because there wasn't a chair for him?
Oh yeah.
And this was all said. He took Byron's actual chair, and gave him the metal folding chair to sit on. Yeah. And he was just.
He had feet up with JBL's hat on,
which I mean, definitely harken back. Oh, the JBL hat thing was great too. Yeah. He was a chaos. He's another one of these chaos characters. He's definitely like a chaotic evil. If we want to D&D, If we want to put a alignment chart up for these guys, which I always do, I'll bleed into all this other stuff. He's definitely leaning on the chaotic, neutral to chaotic evil. Majorly. And here for sure, but his recognition, the recognition of heel to heel, like him and JBL, the recognition how he talked down to everybody on the commentaries. Like he's like, dude, I can come in here and just do your job better than all of you guys, except for JBL. I'm pretty much just as good as him.
But he said that. He said I'm just good as JBL, and then he was like, actually, I'm probably better than you too.
Yeah, and he's like, and it's JBL's, but he would caveat it. Was like he was giving JBL the props of like, you are so great, but in heel character, claiming he is as great as the person. So the bleeding between the realities that these guys do. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it in the future of the heels.
Talk about it in the future.
But yeah, just fucking brilliant. I could watch. I watched this match 3 times.
Really?
When I had to go back and rewatch it. This is why I had the note of how annoying it was, because they had one of those. They have Peacock puts these commercial breaks in the way YouTube does, where they put a commercial in between a spot.
Really?
But it's unavoidable. No, not in between them. In between the matches.
Oh, okay.
So
at
like,
least
so like you might have gotten a backstage segment, or you might have gotten some other interview. We're getting ads.
Right. That sucks.
And what happens is every time I go back, whereas YouTube, if you rewind, it knows you just watched an ad, so it doesn't feed you another ad.
Man,
if I go back behind a set point, I have to rewatch that
really
60
takes
second
you out
ad
of the moment.
again.
Because
it really fucking does.
If I'm especially if I'm watching a pay-per-view from like 1988, and I'm watching this grainy 1988 footage, and then I'm suddenly popping into a Oral-B ad for from 2023.
Dude,
it's like,
it is.
I don't want that.
It is really jarring. That's why that's what made me realize it, is going back and watching these pay-per-views that way. But
one more note.
Anyway.
I could make at any point in the night, but long-haired guy.
We thought, it's good to see long-haired guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He disappeared since the pandemic. I hope he's okay, but I do miss him.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think he maybe just finally ran out of money, or
yeah, probably. Up next,
up next,
we have an AEW World Title match between Dean Ambrose and
we have a future AEW World Title match here.
Yeah,
the future of AEW is right here in 2016.
Yeah.
This was one of those things. Again, going back and seeing this, it kind of reminded me that, I got to be honest, I don't miss Dean Ambrose. I don't really a lot of his matches seemed forgettable to me, and I know that's not the case for some other people, but I go back and I didn't see anything come of anything that he did, really.
Yeah.
His title run wasn't really that memorable. The matches this should have been a great match. Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho should have been a great match, and it was probably a great match on paper. It was a great match in the ring.
It was good.
The ring work was great.
But it wasn't like, we're not talking about it. Here's the deal.
I'm not talking about it. There's nothing happened. Nothing came about.
Here's the deal. We've got, you're always, the guys, the 3 guys in the Shield are always going to be held up to one another. It's just fact.
Sure.
And they'll never not separate themselves from each other.
Sure.
I can go, off the top of my head, I'm not going to do it right now, but I could easily collect a whole bunch of Seth Rollins matches that I'm like, these are top tier, next level matches. Same with Roman Reigns. Every Roman Reigns match at this point is just as a contender for a match of the year. But I can't do that with Dean Ambrose. Go on, yeah.
I feel, and the real reason I feel like that is because he didn't get through the shitty gimmick. He didn't get through that whatever that gas mask thing was that made him fed up with it.
I know
he couldn't get past jeans and a tank top.
I know that you're going to agree with me on this, right? Because I know that we very wrestling. And
it's not it's not critical of the guy.
No, but here's the deal.
He's a great
I really, the gas mask gimmick. I actually really enjoyed it. I know.
I really did too. Yes. I was so interested to see what was going to happen here because I was like, this is so fucking out there. What the hell is going to happen?
I think he looked cool. I think the gas mask thing, saying that he was like doing it because he was so repelled by the fans was like.
Imagine being able to tie that back into a pandemic angle. Like
exactly.
This could have been. I look at what could have been, and I see that gas mask thing, and then I see the pandemic, and I see such a missed opportunity for him to be the nastiest, dirty, ratty heel that you can be. Like be something else. Try doing something. The note that I had, and I deleted the note because I didn't want to be really negative about this.
Okay.
But it just felt like when I went back and looked at the match, and I went back and thought about the Dean Ambrose stuff, it just looked like he never tried. to me. I'm very critical about this.
I don't know if you remember that famous when he was on Stone Cold's podcast and Austin basically said that to him.
Oh, I didn't. I never saw that. I never saw that.
I'll find the clip later. But it's really kind of awkward to watch because I feel like he didn't.
And I don't mean that. And I don't mean that in that like, oh, he couldn't have gotten like. It just seemed like the jeans and tank top thing was just played out. The gas mask thing could have been something. It could have been an evolution to something else, something better. Yeah. He could have figured it out, but it sounded like he just didn't want to try. He just from the things that I got at the time, and maybe he's got a different perspective on things, and maybe I'm completely off base. I can be completely wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And if I am, someone please, by all means, tell me in the comments that I am wrong. I'd love to hear it. But it just felt like to me, like he didn't want to try to do anything other than be a dirty hardcore guy.
Right, exactly.
And so it just made me. It's like everything was forgettable.
Well, here's the deal. I will say though, like obviously I have seen. Obviously, he's gone to AEW, as we know, and he's gone to do what he perceives as what he enjoys, and that's fine. And I'm glad he's having fun. But for me,
I'm totally all for people doing what they want to be doing. And if that's truly the case, that's also what I heard. Like that's the thing with Daniel Bryan, that WWE wouldn't let him do the things that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And by all means, the thing is, there's a lot of guys. I don't have to like it.
There's a lot of guys that have gone to AEW, and I've seen bits and bobs of what they've done, and I'm going like, it's very similar to what you're doing in WWE, or I dig it. It's really good. I don't. For me, my personal opinion, my personal preference, like I prefer Dean Ambrose over Jon Moxley.
Oh, 100%.
I don't.
100%.
Jon Moxley doesn't vibe with me. I did like the comedy element of Dean Ambrose. I thought it was pretty fun at times as well.
That's just what I like. That's just what I like.
I like my wrestling a little more hokey and a little less.
I do.
Bloody, I guess.
Well, because there are definitely there are other subgroups of fans that have their priorities of what they enjoy, what they value.
Yeah.
There are definitely fans that put more value on one thing than another.
That's right.
And we put a lot more value on storytelling and gimmicks that take you away from things. If you're just hitting people with chairs and doing shit like, not to sound like that typical guy that thinks he can do it. It's like, but yeah, man, I can hit people with chairs and kendo sticks, and it doesn't make me believe anything other than you just want to beat people up.
Yeah.
For the sake of beating people up, it's got to give me something more. And if you dig it, people dig it, and go on and dig it, man. Go on and dig it. But for me, it just seemed like. It obviously wasn't WWE. Is not for him. That's really what it came down to. It's not
exactly.
It's definitely not the place for him. It's not the place for a lot of those guys, and that's why they're not there.
Exactly.
That's what
But end of the day, only notes I've got on this. I literally put solid match, both good chemistry with each other, and that's literally what I put for them.
Yeah. I did make there was a nice. Jericho did have a really gnarly spinning elbow out of the corner at one point, which I was like, oh yeah, hey, look, that's a Judas effect. So I don't know if he had already started using that at the time or was just trying it out. Like that was that.
But it was a good. It wasn't a bad match. It was a solid match. I enjoyed Jericho's tantrum after the match. That was good fun.
That was pretty. Yeah, it was. Yeah, solid work by solid workers.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I put this in the note. It's just. It didn't seem to do. The win didn't do anything for him.
Yeah.
Moving on. Good to see Mauro Ranallo.
I've got the same thing. But what my note says is, since when was Mauro Ranallo a backstage interviewer? I don't remember this ever happening.
It was very momentary.
Yeah, clearly.
Because then he was live. I know there was shit that happened between he and JBL, and that was really unfortunate. Mm-hmm. I loved Mauro Ranallo, and I would absolutely love to hear his voice back on a WWE headset.
But he's having a backstage interview with AJ Styles, and the only note I've got here is the fact that AJ Styles at this point had only been in the WWE for 5 months. and he's already in the main event with Roman Reigns.
Yes,
he basically got an immediate push to the top, basically.
Yeah, he was the one guy, and I'm so glad. Like,
there are a few wrestlers in this world that can just skip the NXT system and come straight to the main roster. Yeah.
AJ Styles was the only guy.
And he was one of them. Yeah.
AJ had a huge, thing, but AJ Styles is just an exceptional.
Yeah.
He's one of those exceptional people that.
Big time. Yeah,
you can't bring him in anywhere but the top because everybody already knows him.
That's
WWE
right.
fans already knew who he was.
Yeah, I mean,
so
look at he come out in the Royal Rumble and the crowd popped immediately.
Yeah,
they knew who he
that was it. That was probably the litmus test too. It was like, all right, come out and see how they respond.
Because they easily could have brought him out there. They could have fell on deaf ears, and they could have just put him in NXT.
You said, all right, well, I guess you're starting at the mid card.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's.
I guess we'll get back to AJ Styles later. But right now we've got
a whole nother thing.
Charlotte Flair versus Natalya. Well, actually, no, not Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, because that's all she was announced as.
Charlotte. Yes, this was during a time when they were just randomly
calling her Charlotte,
off
which was weird because she come out with her dad.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Why don't just everybody knows she's Ric Flair's daughter? Why are you
use her surname?
Dude, that doesn't make much sense.
No.
I hated this angle vehemently when it was happening.
Yeah.
I hate because I just watched it happen in NXT 2 similarly I don't even know if I don't even remember what the things were in NXT that I'm remembering. Could be false memories. Who knows? It all blends together. But I just didn't it just seemed like, I guess to me, it seemed like it was cheap. It was too cheap, and I thought Charlotte should have been on her own. I didn't think she needed the whole having her father cheat for her to win.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was necessary, in a way. But I get it. It did really solidify her as the end result is I realized later on I just totally got worked by it. I was just getting worked in the way that a wrestling fan should get worked. So retroactively, I hated it at a time for reasons, and they knew it, and they were worked because she's so good. She can work different angles. Charlotte Flair and all those people, they're smart enough to work different angles for different fans.
Yeah.
That's how it actually works. Everybody is because. You can get the people that don't really know you to hate you for the easy things. You can get the marks to hate you for those same reasons, but different reasons. The same things you're doing, you can get heel heat from different fans for different reasons, and that's in retrospect what was so smart about it is that it worked me for years. I hated Charlotte, hated her.
It's amazing to see. Like watching her come out and do her entrance, I really noticed how much she's evolved in the last 7 years.
Yes, that too.
She felt so new there. Like she was, but like if you see her now, she just holds herself with so much. Like she, you know what? In coming out in Payback, I felt like she was pretending to have confidence. Now she just has confidence.
Well, and you know what? And I think maybe that's to be honest, that could very well be part of it too. Is that having her father there, not just her father, but having Ric Flair in her corner, having Ric Flair there at ringside, coaching her through the matches and coaching her on things probably did. It did exactly what it should have done, and it did help her because I'm sure the pressure of being Ric Flair's daughter in WWE, I'm sure is not easy for any, and being a generational superstar is definitely not easy.
Right.
They always, in every interview, in every documentary you hear, it's the same thing. You know that. But the expectation is so large.
Exactly.
And so having him there and having additional. You realize later on, and I've come to realize this after, this is years later too, is that those learning experiences for them I see them in such a different light. We touched on this with the whole with Becky with the Becky Lynch Trish Stratus match getting pushed, and that giving Zoe Stark some more airtime. Like, hey, good for her. Like, that's great. You get some extra airtime. You get some more. You get more time to get better. But anyway, so great. Let's get back to that match.
I thought it was a really good match. It was. I mean, obviously the main thing that comes out of it is the screw job ending, which I've gone to look at, and it doesn't seem like. Well, so let's look at this.
This was another
little Nate or Charles Robertson. He signals for the bell, as we know. Like, you have to be maybe a bit of a wrestling. Well, you need to know a little bit to know that. Like, Ric Flair and Charles Robinson have a connection going back all the way to WCW. You
either knew what that was a nod to,
or you didn't know,
or you didn't know, and you now have to sign up for the WWE Network for $9.99 a month to find out, because you can go back to the library.
But I did a bit of research, and it seems to me like they didn't on the Raw following. They didn't explain why this happened. They just didn't. I think
it was more. It was. I think it was really more for people that already knew.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need to explain it. Yeah. That was the thing. They don't need to explain. Sometimes and WWE does this from time to time, and there are people that definitely hate it. I'm not one of those people. Again, as long as what you. Sometimes they just drop a thing. Sometimes they just. Like this, they don't explain it.
Yeah,
because you don't have to. Let's just move on.
You're right.
Let's move on. Let's go to something else. Yeah. because it's not really about that. The story isn't really about that. That was a little teaser. That was something to make you be like, oh, what the fuck, and then oh well, hey man, that's just a thing. That's just a thing that happens. Yeah. It's just collusion.
And quite ironic that we got this finish, and obviously we've got the well, let's not go into that too much because that's quite a. But listen to the next episode.
Oh yeah.
It relates.
Yeah.
It relates to this.
Anyways, yeah. It was a great match. It highlighted both of those ladies. It was a great. I think that was a feel good. I think that was also a feel good thing for Ric Flair to see Charlotte. There, it was a feel-good thing to have Bret Hart ringside again in attendance. Everybody felt good about that.
Yeah, it was his first appearance after overcoming prostate cancer. So that was it was. Yeah, I liked it, and it was nice to see the spot at the end with him putting Ric Flair in the sharpshooter and stuff.
Natalya didn't have to win to be put over. That's the other thing. It was still. Everybody left happy at the end of the day.
Speaking of screw jobs, here comes Vince McMahon.
Here comes Vince McMahon. Well, this wasn't. Well, yeah. How was this No, this wasn't a screw. This wasn't a Vince McMahon screw job.
Oh no, but he was part of the screw job, the original screw job. That's what I mean.
Oh,
yeah. You get me? You following?
No, I'm not actually. You're gonna have to fill me in.
So,
I've lost track of this.
I tried to make a segue. There was a screw job finish to that match, right? To the last match.
You mean? Oh yeah, sorry. You're talking about the future again.
Yeah. Speaking of screw jobs,
I thought you were trying to lead into the next match, and I'm like, that wasn't a screw job.
No. I'm leading into the next segment, which was the Vince McMahon segment.
The Vince McMahon segment of the pay-per-view?
Yeah, when he.
Oh God! I blocked it all out. I blocked it all out because of how goddamn horrible it was. Oh jeez, yeah, this was.
Okay, yeah, you thought
it started off so good. It started off so good. Oh no, this is what I have: 21 fucking minutes to do nothing and go nowhere. That's what That's the only thing I had on that.
Oh my God!
Jesus, it started off so good. It started off good, and then why did it take 21 minutes for nothing to happen? And
the thing I hated the most is the big reveal at the end of who was running Raw. Was when Vince made the announcement, he didn't really announce it. He kind of said a sentence and dropped the mic. I was like, "Oh, was that? Are you done?
It was basically finished? Yeah. I think I don't know what that entire segment fell the fuck apart.
I feel like Vince knew, and he had given up by
that
point.
I think he did. I think he did. I think he was just like, God damn it, we got to just wrap this fucking thing up and be done with it.
Yeah.
The Shane McMahon just reading off headlines.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Why was this here for this? I mean, except for another plug of the WWE network, launching the WWE network. That whole angle of who's going to run Raw.
Yeah.
Okay, it was supposed to be it obviously was supposed to be something because of what happens later. But holy shit, this was such a waste of time. I'm not usually that critical, but this was such a waste of time.
Well, and we'll get to the main event obviously in a second. Nothing. But one thing I didn't quite like. There's a few things I didn't quite like about this. Like, one is that they ran too long. Two is that I feel like the purpose of the main event was to get over Stephanie and Shane. Do you know what I mean? Because they obviously had a heavy part in it. 3, I mean, I'm jumping ahead a bit here, but 3, I didn't like the fact that the pay-per-view essentially ended with the McMahons on the screen in what felt like it was an episode of Raw. 4, the guys in the pre-show must have been pissed off because they could have been on the main show if it wasn't for this segment.
This is one of those. This is definitely one of those. This was a critical miss on the amount of time they spent on something like this.
Yeah, and one big thing I've got from this was,
and they didn't stick the landing because it just, like you said, it just abruptly ended. It all fell apart. It all fell apart.
One thing I took away from this is I'm really glad that we don't have GMs anymore. We have Adam Pearce.
Yeah, we just have him
who comes out.
I love Adam Pearce.
And he's one of my favorite, like, I don't know what you would call him, like authority roles.
He's an on-air personality. But
so it's great. He just comes out and he goes like, "Oh, cool, you guys want to have a match? Well, it's official."
All right, it's a match. Yeah, he's kind of the new. It's a very new way of doing President Jack Tunney. In a way, he's got the authority to make matches, and that's pretty much it. That's really pretty much his on-air persona is just the ability to make matches.
And for real, he isn't heel and he isn't face.
And he isn't. No,
he's favored the heels and he's favored the faces in the past.
He favors the most of all. He favors the fans. He plays to the fans all the time. He's like, "You guys want to see this? All right, it's official."
Yeah.
You know. And I mean, I would put Adam Pearce's face on a T-shirt with just it's official. It's official. Put that on WWEshop.com.
It would sell like hotcakes.
Watch the fucking money roll in. You want to talk about top getters? LA Knight would get topped by an Adam Pearce It's Official shirt. I would put money on that. I would buy it myself.
I'd buy it.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put it. Fuck it. I'm gonna put it up on WrestleTees.com. I'm gonna put it up on my own site. I'm gonna bootleg that shit, and then he can come at me for royalties. Next match. Let's get through that before this podcast falls apart. The way that 21-minute segment fell apart. God damn it, Andrews. I'm not even gonna. It doesn't even matter what happens.
So
it all gets.
My God, I felt like I was watching a completely different human being watching Roman Reigns come out.
This Roman Reigns was it's an entirely different Roman Reigns.
It's not even the same person. It's wild.
I was also watching an entirely different pay-per-view at this point too, because this was, I mean, it was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and this match were basically the highlights.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Everything else good, but for
But
good,
forgettable,
but definitely
I'd say.
Good, but forgettable.
Watching him come out, I mean, man, I'm trying to think about how I felt during this period about Roman Reigns, and I've actually I've realized that I just didn't care. Like I didn't care about Roman Reigns.
It was very apathetic about. Yeah, there was some. For a time, I was definitely on the the hate Roman Reigns train, I wasn't there because I wasn't on that train because I actually disliked him being champion. I was on the it's fun. It's fun for me right now to boo the person they're obviously. I'm gonna be a part of the people that are booing him as a face.
Yeah.
Because I want to see because this is funny. This is fun to me because I know that this is gonna lead to something better later.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that that's how superstars adapt. That's how Roman. He could have let that whole thing fall apart, and he could have lost his spot, and he could have lost there would have never been a head of the table. There would have never been a tribal chief if he didn't get through that fans hating him as a face.
I've got a hell of a lot of notes on this subject alone, besides the match.
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, like the fact that nowadays I feel like the WWE don't tend to resist a crowd reaction now. If people are booing someone, they tend to now just make them a heel. And if the fans are cheering someone, they tend to just make them a face.
They don't right, because they're not going to waste time.
Yeah,
they're not going to waste time. They're going to keep the fans interested.
I feel like with Roman Reigns in this kind of little pet project they had with the Roman Empire era of Roman Reigns, I feel like they learned a lot from that. It's like we really did try for 4 years to get him over as a face, and it didn't work the whole time.
And there's part of me that'll never really know if they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
To a degree, like it was part of the fail-safe plan. Is like, hey man, if either we finally get him over as a face and this works, or look at how much ammunition we have for when he becomes a heel, but not the heel, but his heel turn again. We won't spoil the future by or should we? Or should we give a spoiler? Give a spoiler and not a prediction. Roman Reigns' heel turn does not make our top 10.
No, it does
heel
not,
turn list. But it was in the discussion. It was definitely in the discussion.
It was one that was brought up pre-recording.
Yeah, pre-recording. It definitely earned its spot as a notable mention because it wasn't a typical heel turn. But anyway, this totally different Roman Reigns.
I mean, I actually at points felt like embarrassed by this Roman Reigns, knowing what we have now. I was just like, whoa! Like it was the attire. It felt like
you could still see it. You could still see he was hanging on to.
Yeah, he came out to the Shield's theme. Like
he was still coming into the Shield's theme. Yes, that was the biggest thing, and how they didn't know that the fans would turn on him for that. I don't understand, but I also think again, I don't think they cared because they knew they were going to keep the young. They had the young fans. They had the young fans, and they had the people hating him for what he was being, because it wasn't what they wanted.
No.
We wanted heel Roman, and WWE is great at not giving you what you want right away.
Exactly.
It's finally giving you what you want in the best way possible, so that it always is the biggest. It has the most impact.
Yeah, you're right.
This is why I'm always critical of people that jump on the train of give this guy the title immediately.
You mean like LA Knight right now?
Yeah, people. Yeah, man. Yeah, push this. This guy is getting pushed. He is pushed to the moon.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a title to be top. That's the thing that people don't. They're people that hold on to that weird thing of like, you can be a top person without a title. You can get the title when you really. And then give them the title when it's actually the most meaningful.
Yeah.
Let them. LA Knight is not gonna be WWE champion right now. He's not. They're not gonna. They're not putting LA Knight on the cover of People magazine or like they're not gonna have. He's just not the guy to do that right now.
Yeah.
And maybe he never is the guy to do that right now. Maybe he becomes champion and maybe he has a championship run that's very short. But like. What they are doing is they're putting him. They are giving the fans for which they don't often do. But when you're right, you're right. Like the other thing is they've been working on LA Knight for years. They've been working up to this. It's not like this was a surprise.
All right, get this
for
right.
any of them.
I don't know if you've seen.
That was the whole point. This is totally has nothing to do with
total
anything.
sidebar. We'll go back to this in a second. We
need a tangent counter.
Yeah,
tangent timer.
But I'm going on the tangent real quick on LA Knight. I don't know if you've seen this
meme
meme lately of the fact that LA Knight has just been in everything.
He's in everything.
Because he's been like an extra and stuff. He was in like Triple H's fitness DVD that came out like 12 years ago.
Yeah, man.
He's just in everything.
And that's what's one of the things. Yes, we talk. We do talk about some things that we don't like to know about, but this is one of those things that it's like he has been. He even did it in one of his promos. They have been molding him for over a decade. They've been working with Triple H has had his eye on him, and if they had brought him up 7 years ago, 7 years ago is what we're talking about right now. You think LA Knight was going to get over when all of this other stuff was going on? Dude, he would have got immediately lost. He would have been so lost if they I love what they're doing. They're giving him the spotlight.
They're dripping it all in slowly. You don't want to give it all straight away.
Why? I don't understand why so many people are in such a rush to get somebody there, just because you hurry up to get them there, and then where do they go? Then it's only down.
Yeah,
it's only down.
Well, it's like Cody. Well, what are you gonna do? Like bring Cody in? He wins the world title straight away, and then what?
If they gave him the title, if they would have given him the title right away, it would have ruined so many things.
Yeah.
It would have. Man, it's. Cody is finally winning me over. We talked about this at the SummerSlam episode. Like it was him. It was the trilogy with Brock that finally
last match with Brock. Yeah.
Well, also, I didn't watch anything that Cody did outside of WWE because I don't watch things outside of WWE. I just don't have the time for it. It's just
Yeah, tell me. I need the same.
So I needed to see what. Just as there are plenty of other fans like me that just don't watch other things. Yeah. That's how it is. So you need to show me. You need to show me first. And I think he also understands that that's part of it too.
Yeah, for sure.
He knows. He's smart enough to know if
I think a lot of people don't realize that a good majority actually of the WWE audience are just WWE fans. They don't watch other things, and not only that, they're also really not vocal online. They're a WWE. They're a wrestling fan. They're a professional wrestling fans. Exactly.
And there are WWE fans that are that. I mean, that's how I grew up too. I grew up with nothing but WWE. That's the only thing. That was the only thing I had.
It's even not that I don't. I mean, I can go to a local indie show. I have. I know you have too, and they're great. But it's like I know what I guess I just know what I enjoy.
And there are tons of indie wrestlers, and we'll talk about those. We'll talk about that stuff another time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match was. It was a great. I mean, it was a solid freaking match.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And one of the things that WWE does that I love that they do is when they do something, they do it again.
They double down,
but a little bit better, but a little louder. Yeah. And this match was definitely an example of that with the ending.
2 false finishes, yeah.
The double false finish now of course it ties into the story angle of Shane and Stephanie are interjecting themselves.
Yeah.
So that it's apparent that they're still struggling to figure out who's running it.
Yeah.
Who's running Raw. But it made for the 21 minutes of nonsense before this. Taking this just as it is, I thought was smart, and it was great. It was a great way of storytelling that part of the story, and a really good way to have an interesting different type of a match.
Yeah.
Giving AJ a win via countout was big for someone again who was 5 months just premiering.
Yeah, exactly.
In the WWE
yeah.
and
yeah.
in a title match.
Yeah.
Technically winning a second time by the weirdest accidental disqualification.
What was that?
That I've ever seen.
Odd, yeah.
Dude, the Superman punch to the nut kind of thing was very weird.
It was a weird way of doing it. A much better way of doing it than what they did.
But yeah, how else are you going to do it without Roman Reigns doing something heelish?
Exactly.
He had to do. He was strapped by needing to play the face. He couldn't do anything that was heelish.
Plus, it took a while for the ref to ring the bell. He kind of
because you saw him kind of process it, right?
Yeah, floundered a bit.
Like, wait a second,
he saw. Yeah.
However, if you also look, the good thing about it was the ref saw it happen.
Yeah.
You can see that he saw it happen. So they had it all positioned perfectly for it.
Yeah.
And kudos to the production again, because otherwise it would have been just so weird. But everything about how they wrapped it all up. They made it. They tied it into the story, which the bigger story essentially was the Raw, who's running Raw angle.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way, was part of the main event. Was part of this whole thing. AJ wasn't going to win the title at that time. They were still working with. And it sort of solidified more of the fans turning on Roman more, because they're pushing Roman down our throats, and AJ should have won this. This was stupid. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it still pushed AJ Styles, and it solidified him as he's a top guy, and he's always a top guy now. He's always going to be a top guy.
The best spot of this match was the forearm from the top rope through the announcer's table.
Yeah, I have that in my
insane.
The flying forearm off the ropes in the table. The 540 splash too.
Yeah.
That he did because of everything. The main note I had was how smooth all of the moves were between those guys.
Big time. Yeah.
We watch matches all the time, and we try not to criticize them, but when people's timing is off.
Yeah.
And their timing, AJ Styles' timing, is always on.
Yeah, they had a time where he went to do the forearm, and Roman did the Superman punch as well. That was really well timed.
Everything about it is so smooth. The way, like, it is perfect. It was a perfect match. For what the story was.
And then we had a little precursor to the Bloodline, because the Usos are out there. So
we did. Yeah. We had the Usos come out for the assist.
Yeah, so we had the Bloodline before the Bloodline was the Bloodline. So
yeah.
But yeah, and then we have the tiny little segment at the end, which was so awkward, because Vince goes, "Oh, we're going to see a replay," and then it goes to the logo, and he's like, "Oh, I thought we were going to have a replay," and then they don't know what to do.
I didn't get that.
What? Really? So after that match finishes,
maybe I stopped.
Maybe you stopped
watching.
it too early.
I think I stopped it too early, thinking that there was nothing going on.
There's a backstage segment, and you see Vince, Shane, and Stephanie, and they're all watching the monitor in the GM office or whatever. And there's this awkward moment where Vince is like, they're talking, and then he's like, "Oh, we're going to see a replay," and then it goes to the logo on the screen, and he's like, "Oh, I guess not." And then all three of them go quiet for a second, and then Shane finally goes like, "Oh shit, I meant to say something here."
Oh, geez. So
they continue their segment from earlier and continue to make it worse.
And they continue to make it worse. And hey, if you're gonna fall apart twice.
And then it gets even worse, because then Vince just goes, "Well, I think there should be a rematch." To which I was like, Why though? Because that.
Well, because of how I would have. Fuck! I totally missed that.
Right, and then Shane goes, "Well, I think it should be Extreme Rules," and then Vince goes, "Well, what match should it be?" And then Shane looks really confused, and then Stephanie goes, "An Extreme Rules match," and I'm like, "Well, no shit."
Oh God, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again. See if that's actually still there and I missed it, or if Peacock cut it out.
Yeah,
that's man, what a way to fall apart. I mean, this podcast.
But one thing
fell apart a little bit as much as this one.
But one thing I don't like about segments like that, like the end there and the talking segment, is that it feels like an episode of Raw or SmackDown. I want pay-per-views to feel like pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And those segments kind of take away from it feeling like a pay-per-view. I feel like those talking parts of the story need to be told on the TV shows during the week. This is the night for like the long epic matches.
They could have done that entire, and they could have done that entire backstage.
They could have done that on Raw, the Raw before Payback, and then had the same stuff happen in that match. Yeah. You didn't need that happening on a pay-per-view, but alas, here we are.
Overall, here's a little note. Here's a little note though at the end on the Wikipedia page. Yeah. Apparently, after the event went off the air, and Roman Reigns was yelling angrily at the fans.
Oh, what?
Reigns had faced a hostile reaction from fans during the main event, which we knew. For a photo on WWE.com showing the Payback main event, a fan sign saying "When it rains, it bores" was edited by WWE to merely show when it rains. I'd say the same thing. Mixed reaction. Like some of the matches, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, as overall stole the show for me.
Yeah, but I would say match of the night. It was my favorite match anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, decent Payback for a decent time. There was a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
During that time frame, so a little bit of a clusterfuck. They were still figuring things out, kind of like how we're still figuring things out with this podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Anybody with any memories of Payback 2016 that want to mention them in the comments, feel free.
Yeah, please do.
Well.
One little tidbit not for the next episode, but the episode next week will be the top 10 heels. The episode after that will be our
actual Payback
2023 reaction.
Yes, our review of the upcoming Payback 2023.
But also on that episode, so this coming Sunday, I got offered a ticket to the AEW Stadium show at Wembley Stadium.
Oh yeah, you did mention that. So
I guess I'll elaborate on that a little bit. Being a guy who does not watch any AEW, but I got offered a ticket, so what was I going to do?
Well, there you go. You can go into it with completely fresh eyes and come out with this is not knowing anything that's going on.
Exactly. It would be a straight up honest
opinion. And we can definitely talk about it just because we only are reviewing WWE stuff right now.
Yeah, I think it would go amiss, if I'm going to this massive stadium show.
We're talking about what we know.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about what we know.
Exactly.
And yeah, man. But this is I think this kind of wraps up Payback 2026.
Oh Jesus!
For
Hold
us.
on. My headphones fell off. I'm back.
Oh shit! You didn't miss anything. I'm just wrapping it up.
Yeah.
We're falling apart just like the end.
We're following suit, right?
So fucking fitting. We're so in sync with this. All right. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Payback 2016. Look out for our top 10 heel turns next week. And that's about it.
That's right. Bye-bye. We don't have to end these, do we?
We've been focusing a lot on trying to make sure our intros are good, that we have really given no thought
no attention to outros. That is 35 stone. That's a lot of stone. Jesus